Our youth are at the epicenter of development, so the government is taking steps to engage youth participation in national development in key sectors such as education and scientific research. Their input in this increasingly digital age will help to drive better decisions and sustainable development. Welcome to another Wednesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. We have lots to explore inside the pages, from career options to disaster preparedness. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Respect for myself and others. Self-discipline means there's a right way to conflict resolution. Kindness and compassion say being nice is normal. Honesty and integrity are badges of honor. Yes, we choose values for life.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, November 8, 2023. A state of public emergency, SOE, has been declared in St. James with effect today, November 8. The security measure is in response to the fatal shooting of 2 children in the Salt Spring community on Monday and other incidents of criminal activities. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson made the announcement earlier today at the weekly post-cabinet press briefing. The commissioner says since the start of the year, 180 illegal firearms have been seized in St. James. This accounts for 30% of the 608 firearms recovered across the island. In addition, 916 firearm-related charges have been brought against 841 persons within the first year of the passing of the new Firearms Act. Commissioner Anderson says as at November 6, St. James recorded 167 murders and 100 shootings, the highest in any police division, even though these are reduced figures.
We will not allow these criminal terrorists to profit from the fear they create in communities. And as long as Jamaicans need us to keep them safe in their communities, we will continue to respond. There's an urgency to what we do as a society. It is on this basis that there is no place for reticence in using every tool at our collective disposal to staunch the bloodletting.
Acting Chief of Defense Staff at the Jamaica Defense Force, Brigadier Markland Lloyd, adds that from January 1 to November 6, St. James police divisions have accumulatively recorded the most murders and shootings across the country. These are primarily gang-related, and over 11,000 deployments have been conducted within the parish.
This marks our continued efforts towards maintaining peace and stability within the parish. With the additional infusion of authority from the SOEs, the joint force may better concentrate enhanced initiatives to specific criminal activities that have emerged within this space.
Weighing in on the declaration, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the country has experienced a few brutal murders over the past few weeks and must respond.
This kind of criminal activity threatens the stability of our communities, incites fear and put at risk the social and economic gains we have made over the last 6 years. They are murdering our children and our senior citizens. They are heartless, brutish criminals who are terrorizing our citizens. The government and the leadership of Prime Minister Honis will continue to make strong and decisive action to contain, apprehend, and bring criminals to justice.
Members of the public are being urged to follow instructions of the ground commanders. They're also being asked to share information by calling the JDF tip line at 876-837-8888, the JCF tip line at 811, Police Emergency 119, or Crime Stop at 311. This is the 4th declared SOE for St. James, with the security measure previously implemented in December 2022 and May and June 2023. Prime Minister Andrew Holness did not mince words earlier today when he responded to questions that a new state of emergency in St. James was a knee-jerk reaction to recent violence. The Prime Minister says the government must respond to what he describes as existential threats faced by the country.
the government must respond. And the fact that these things keep recurring is more so a testament to the nature of the beast that we tackle. It is also very clearly demonstrating that when we act and we are not supported in action by the extension of the emergency powers to finally bring to heel the beast, then the problem continues.
Mr. Holness says the country must rid itself of the illusion that criminals are going to find salvation in their hearts and mercy for their victims.
They are a threat to our national security. They are a threat to your safety. And we need to be persistent and consistent in the measures that we put in place. We need to rid ourselves of the ambivalence in the message that we have been sending.
Still on crime, Prime Minister Holness has tasked his team of lawmakers to move with urgency to bring amendments to legislation before Parliament that will provide harsher penalties for murder and possession of illegal firearms. These include amendments to the Offences Against the Persons Act, which will see convicted persons being given a maximum of 45 years to life. Further adjustments are to the Firearms Act to increase the penalty and remove any ambiguity. The Prime Minister has charged the Ministers of Justice and National Security to have these approved by the end of December. Mr. Holness was addressing Parliament on Tuesday on the heels of the fatal shooting of 2 children and 1 adult in Salt Springs, St. James on Monday.
We have it within our purview in this House to create the deterrence, to use the laws to create the deterrence. Perpetrators must have no sympathy. They must face the full, unequivocal, unblunted force of the law.
Mr. Holness is urging residents of Salt Spring and adjoining communities who have information on the shooters to share it with the police. He has also tasked the police to ensure that swift justice is applied and the entire area is brought under control. The Prime Minister expresses condolences to the parents, family members, and the school community.
I rise here to condemn the act, to say that it is un-Jamaican, to say that we are never going to be numb to this, that we will never consider it, oh, just another day. We will speak up against it in the strongest way. We will mobilize our resources to tackle it and to bring those who are responsible, those who commit it and those who give succor to those who commit it, to bring them to justice.
The Minister of Education and Youth is also condemning the brutal killing of the 2 children who were students of Chetwood Primary in St. James and another from St. Jude's Primary in St. Andrew. They were all killed in shooting-related incidents. Minister Favour Williams says grief counsellors have been dispatched to both schools and will remain there for as long as the students require the service.
In the face of such senseless violence, we must come together as a society and offer our unwavering support to those who have been directly affected. We mourn with them, and we stand by their side as they navigate through this dark chapter in their lives.
And finally, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, says the central bank is looking at measures to ease invisible barriers and make it easier for deposit portability to become a reality. Deposit portability will allow customers to easily move their accounts from one bank to another, keeping all standing instructions, including direct debits of credit cards without the complicated account opening procedures or Know Your Customer KYC hassles. Dr. Clark says one measure includes having an electronic KYC database to which banks have access. According to Dr. Clark, the entire paradigm of fintech, digital payments, and finance systems are areas the BOJ is now focused on as the government aims to stimulate innovation and competition in the financial sector.
I would say that Jamaica is ripe for financial sector innovation. It is absolutely ripe for financial technology innovation. It is absolutely ripe for digital finance.
The finance minister says he has asked the World Bank for assistance in bringing Jamaica examples of digital finance success elsewhere in the Latin America and the Caribbean, so entrepreneurs can see for themselves what is possible. He's appealing to entrepreneurs to grasp the opportunities that are available.
We have a Jamaica where financial inclusion is low, and we have banking competition that's also low. Those are conditions that are ripe for innovation. And all that we require are daring, courageous entrepreneurs with vision. And indeed, they don't have to come from Jamaica. So anybody visiting here today in the financial technology space, in the digital finance space, I want to say to you that Jamaica is open for business, and we want to see you operating here.
Minister Clark was speaking recently at the opening ceremony for the Bank of Jamaica's 54th Monetary Studies Conference. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
Mosquitoes will breed in containers that hold water. Tightly cover water storage containers such as drums, buckets, and tanks, or cover the water surface with cooking oil. Punch holes in all tins, plastic containers, and boxes to prevent the collection of water before disposal. Cover old tires or fill with dirt. Scrub all vases once per week to remove mosquito eggs, and dispose of garbage by placing in plastic bags. Do your part to prevent mosquito breeding.
Nurturing their adventurous spirit and being open to their creative passions. Let's help our youth explore the diverse career options in this next feature.
I've always wanted to be a doctor since I can remember, but starting my own business doesn't seem like such a bad idea either. If only I could know more about how to get started, or even better, other options to choose.
Hi, I'm Nero Christian, principal of Angels Primary School. Career Day is one of the most important days that we get an opportunity to step outside of the classroom, outside of the regular subjects, to show the students what is possible as they look towards the future. 10 years from now, many of these youngsters will be entering the world of work, and Career Day shows them some of the options they have to be productive Jamaican citizens.
I can be anything I want to be.
In addition to the traditional professions, your teachers, your lawyers, your doctors, we now are utilizing the resources in our audiovisual department to show students how they can become bloggers professionally, how they can become programmers through coding, how they can become entrepreneurs where they develop their own ideas and skills as they enter the world of work.
So my job at heart is that I am a carpenter / furniture maker. And we're going to talk about the tilers, the steel fixers, the masoners, the carpenters, the block layers, and the architects in general, and how it is that we promote and encourage nation building within Jamaica.
It is important to go with the time, and it is important that they use their hands, skills, so that they too can become the entrepreneurs of tomorrow.
Some of our best career option, and I would look at the builder, because you know we always need houses to live in. So when you go into building houses, you are doing a great thing for our society. Also, we would look at the doctors, because you know persons get sick every day. We look at the nurses. We also look at the teachers, the firemen, the soldiers. They are excellent career choice because you will be serving your nation.
As a student, I'm filled with lots of possibilities. and I am promised to be anything I set my mind to be.
I love career day at my school because I can get to see other careers.
And they would walk up to you and say, "Miss, when I grow up, I am going to be a doctor." And it warms your heart because you will say in a few years, "I taught that child at grade 2 or at grade 3.
When you see Angels Primary students in the high school, you can bet 9 out of 10 times they are your future leaders.
Anelia? Anelia? Anelia?
Safety on our roadways remains a high priority. Knowing what to do in the moment should always be the first instinct of our drivers. Here are a few driving techniques to help you stay alert.
It looks like I'm all ready to go, but am I really? Yes, I'm doing all the right checks to make sure my vehicle is road ready. But what about everybody else? How do I get ready for them?
Driving to save lives, time and money in spite of the conditions around you and the actions of others. But in a nutshell, we want to ensure that, we leave our destination and we reach home safely without creating any harmful situation for any other road users.
Using the techniques of defensive driving helps you to reduce the chance of other people's mistakes affecting you and your vehicle.
You must always be aware that though you might be a good defensive driver, the other road users a lot of times aren't. People will borrow your lane, people will overtake carelessly because they're tired of being in front of a vehicle that is slower than them or a truck.
The government is targeting behavioral change among drivers to reduce the country's vehicular collisions and fatalities, and defensive driving is one of the tools. Grinnell's driving school is known for championing safe driving. Director and instructor Seth Grinnell leads us through some useful defensive driving techniques. Let's learn.
The road code says that the person who arrives first should be allowed to go first, assuming that everyone now, of course, comes to a stop at the stop sign. We'll creep to our line of vision to see if it's safe to go. I'm going to make a right turn and then I proceed. Using the cover and scan technique, when approaching an intersection, we usually want to shadow our brake, but most times what we do, we toot our horn, we don't slow down because we believe the horn will stop the person's vehicle pressing their brake for them. That's not the technique we should use. So when the light turns to green, we wait at least 2 seconds. Then we scan our intersection, ensure no one is running their light, and then we proceed safely. All right, so we're on Hope Road, and this road slopes slightly downhill. So it's very easy for you to gather speed without even knowing. Now the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour, but I can promise you, I am going 50 now, and you realize that people will be passing me with ease. Now, one of the biggest issues here is that people always crash into the wall right at waterfalls there. Now, there are adequate road signs. We can see the road signs, the backdrop, which speaks to caution or warning. and the left arrow bent like that means left bend. So caution, left bend. Now if you do not slow down, there's even a recommended speed here, I promise you your vehicle will only try to go straight. You will not be able to maneuver the bend and the wall shall meet you. So the road signs should be adhered to.
Eager to learn, we quizzed Seth some more about other defensive driving techniques and how to deal with the narrow roadways, especially in rural Jamaica.
Bumper-to-bumper collisions is one of the highest crashes that we have, especially in built-up areas. Within Kingston, we have a lot of built-up areas, people who are late, people who are impatient, and the closer you are to the vehicle in front of you, the more likely that if you are distracted, if you aren't really aware of the situation, you'll end up into the back of the vehicle. Even a sneeze, because when you sneeze, sometimes you jerk forward and before you know it, you're in someone's trunk. A lot of times what happens, you might be peacefully going about your way, someone bad drives you, and then they give you some choice words, the body language, and you believe that you have to meet them in kind. You just have to let it go. It doesn't positively impact your driving. A lot of times it leads to you taking unnecessary risks. So you want to take extra caution, use up your horn to alert the road users in front of you that you are coming and that they should hold their side of the road and so forth.
There are many ways to deal with the far too many lives being lost on our nation's roads. Government's enactment of the New Road Traffic Act is helping to actualize the transformation by issuing harsher penalties for road safety breaches. Defensive driving puts the driver in the seat to save lives. With more calculated efforts and responsible actions, it protects the most vulnerable road users and benefits all without a cost.
November is the last month of the hurricane season, but don't let your guard down. Our next word on safety is about knowing the preparedness checklist if you ever need to go to an emergency shelter. Find out what you need to have on that checklist in this next feature.
It doesn't always have to be a hurricane. A disaster can strike at any time, natural or man-made, and you may not be thinking about a shelter. But shelters are a critical part of the government's disaster plan to ensure the safety of citizens in the event of a natural or man-made catastrophe. But let's rewind a little. Do you know the nearest shelter in your community?
We use schools as shelters, community centers, churches. All of these are utilized for the purpose of assisting persons that would need accommodation in times of emergencies. And so that is the role of the shelter. In terms of the number of shelters that we have, it could be in the region over 900, about 900 shelters that we have across Jamaica.
We always grab our phones when we're in trouble. And this time we are searching for the nearest emergency shelter on the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM website. Select the Shelters tab, choose your parish, then download the listing to see all available shelters in or near your community. You can also browse the interactive map and click on the red dots to identify the shelters. ODPEM also updates its website with the new shelter listings once the annual inspections are completed.
The reason for this is because sometimes some schools can be removed from the listing, and so we would need to, of course, have that information properly and well communicated for persons to be able to know what to do when it is time to go to a shelter. Disaster shelters are activated in two ways. They're done nationally and they're done at the parish level, parish or community specific, for parish or community specific impacts. Now, large-scale hurricanes, for example, when we have lead time, so sometimes when we're tracking these storms and we have lead time 2 or 3 days, then the shelter managers are activated, right, alerted through the parish mechanism. And so they are on standby to open the shelters. So informing the public, that is done through the formal mechanism of press releases that are sent to media houses to let, of course, persons know that shelters are activated, and persons should, of course, go to their nearest shelter. The ODPEM also passes information about shelter activation through our various other social media handles, the Facebook and Twitter and all of the others. And of course, where communities are generally impacted all the time, these persons know their shelters, they know their shelter managers, and so, the information is kind of fluid.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosemary Livingston.
Good afternoon, Ms. Livingston. I'm Chevelle.
I'm here to tell you, Chevelle, the things you should take to the shelter and what you should not take. Okay? You can carry stuff like tin sardine, tin mackerel. You can have a little lemonade drinks, oats, and your biscuit, and your lasco, and your wipes, your clothes. Make sure you come with your sanitary napkin.
Do I have to put the clothes in a plastic bag?
Yes, in case of there is rain, you have them in the plastic bags. You come with your medication. And if you have children, you carry the medication. So you plastic them. What you should not take to the shelter: no knife, no cigarettes, no pets, and no bad behavior.
Okay, that is it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
The COVID-19 pandemic shifted emergency shelter operations with an added focus on keeping persons safe from transmissible diseases. Shelter managers are trained to observe COVID-19 protocols, and this includes having an isolation area. The safety of every emergency shelter is paramount, and this means that shelter rules must be followed.
This government, since 2016, have made arrangements that once the shelters are occupied, we will provide food supplies for persons within the shelters. So the rules that are laid out are clear. It is written all over the board. You see it. Shelter rules.
We would love to hear from you, so reach out via email at jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. You can also find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Join us tomorrow for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. And on behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.